Yes, we want to call to order the strategic planning meeting of August the 11th. At this time, we want to call on Councilman Randy Cluett to lead us in the prayer.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, tonight we pray for the families from the tragic boating accident we had on Blind River this weekend. Lord, we pray to keep everyone safe. Lord, we want the continued efforts and thank all the emergency personnel, the nearby voters, and the whole river community for coming together to do what they could do. We ask that you keep us safe for the rest of the summer. We have the Labor Day weekend coming up, which usually deals with some heartache. Lord, give us some guidance and let common sense prevail and good neighborly friendship on the river, that we may all enjoy the river and come home safe. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Cinnamon, roll call. Councilman Johnson and Valentine are absent. Councilman Johnson is working tonight, and Councilman Valentine is at a meeting now, and he's currently on his way. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item may come in and sign up and have the opportunity to speak. Number 4, lighting at Weir, Emmett River Diversion Canal. Ben, we have our our River Commission that we have. You have the floor, Ben.
All right, thank you, sir. Basically, what we found out in keeping with our safety procedures, we need to light up the boatway going for the weir, stop people from getting on the dam, hitting on the sunken dam and getting hurt. Basically, what we've done, I think everybody has a copy of the cost to put a street light type thing that doesn't blind boaters as they come through, and to put the indicator lights that put us in sync with the Coast Guard requirements for indicating a pass-through, and that's all we need to do, and the cost is not very much. If
for the benefit of the audience, Ben, what is the cost on that?
Oh, let's see. I have it right here. I think I had. Mr. Carpenter had done a lot of research on this thing to get it done. And Mr. Bro on our commission. Here we go. The cost of the project as follows. We have approximately 230 feet of wire we have to bury on Mr. Bill Tomplay's property. Mm-hmm. He gave us permission to go through there, and but he just requested it be buried. Mm-hmm. That would be at $3.50 a foot. The cost is $805, and then one 40-foot light pole is $100 for a total installation charge of $905. And then the one 250-watt soft light fixture, which is just a normal type street light, but it will light up the entire passageway, is no charge to install it. It's $12.42 a month for the just to keep the light burning. The 4 solar-powered navigational lights, 2 at each entrance to the boatway that signal the navigational standard for passage, similar to the ones installed at the pumping station. Once we have, these cost a total of $700.80, and that would bring us into compliance with the Coast Guard navigational standards and cover us for security purposes and liability purposes too. So it's really would be a big help, and this is why we face the fact that it needs to be done. And of course, we always come to strategic planning first to tell us where to go and whether or not you approve of it.
Yes, Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, Ben, I think it's a good thing and it's needed. And I know that we had a pole out there that we thought we could use, and Demco couldn't guarantee their lights on the pole that's already there, and it was a lot of strategic stuff to using that. But I think this is the best way to go, and I'd like to make a motion that we move this forward to the Finance Committee for review and on to the council.
Got a motion from Councilman Kluart.
A second.
Move forward. Second, Councilman Joseph. Questions. We have Mr. Martinez. Well, I think everyone believes this is, something that we need to do if we head in the right direction and everything, the lighting up the weir and bring into compliance. We have a couple of questions. We have an ongoing cost of $1240 a month. How do we, where do we take that out of the budget if we would proceed with this?
Well, I mean, the weir is a flood control project. I mean, I would suggest that it would go to drainage, but I don't know. I would definitely refer this project over to drainage.
Okay.
In that regard, I mean, I don't know. Randy's the chairman of the drainage board.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what his thoughts are.
I don't have an issue with that. I'd just like for it to at least go in front of finance and then come out of finance with a recommendation. But I mean, maybe we can go straight.
Yeah, we
can go straight through.
We can go straight to there, and the reason it's coming to here is Ascension Parish has a responsibility of upkeep, as you said, with the charter. And we need to come here, and that's why I was asking you how we need to address this. Where does it need to go from here? Because I think that's the proper way to do that.
Drainage board items don't come before the finance committee. If you want to go directly, and I think you can skip one.
Yeah, we can send this instead of going to finance. I would like you to amend your.
I'd like to amend my motion to say that we leave the strategic planning committee meeting with this motion to go straight to the drainage board and the East Ascension Gravity Drainage District, and we'll have that on the agenda for our next September meeting.
I second that motion. The substitute motion.
Right. And so motion has been made to take the lighting at the weir as recommended by Mr. Babin and their River Commission, and send that to East Ascension Drainage Commission. Any objections? So passed.
Thank you.
We will be sending it, Ben, and Randy will let you know whenever it's going to be on the agenda.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, discussion of engineering selection process. Mr. Cedric Grant, Mr. Bob Turner.
Members of the Strategic Planning Committee, you have before you a draft ordinance on this, and what I put together is a one-page briefing sheet to just give you the highlights of the ordinance. Basically, what we are proposing in the ordinance is a competitive engineering selection process to be employed for the selection of engineering consultants for professional services contracts when the fee is $50,000 or greater. Anything under $50,000 will be handled in the process that we currently have before the council at this time. The reason that the $50,000 threshold was selected was that in these days and times, serious engineering contracts begin about $50,000 on up. Most things under that we are not really doing that much of anymore. As a part of the process, we will employ a selection committee composed of engineering professionals that will review and rank the proposals and submit their recommendations for selection through the parish president to the council. The committee will be composed of the following representatives. The DPW chief engineer will be the permanent chair of the committee. We have 2-year rotating seats between the American Society of Civil Engineers and Louisiana Engineering Society, a 2-year rotating seat for the schools of engineering between Louisiana State University and Southern University. We will have a permanent seat for the LADOTD area engineer that serves Ascension Parish in District 61, and the staff project engineer for that individual project will sit on the committee at that time for selection. The criterion and the scoring that we'll use for it will be similar to that which is used by the surrounding parishes and the Department of Transportation, which will heavily weighted toward firm qualifications and experience, key personnel qualifications and experience, local project experience, understanding of the project. Compatibility will mean by that is the firm size versus the project size. It doesn't pay to have a national or international firm doing a very small project. Current workload, for the location of the firm, and hopefully some preference given to those located within the parish, but for a lot of these, some people have offices in the parish, some have them in the region. Past performance, and that's where it's going to be very critical that we have project managers involved to let us know how somebody did the last time, so we don't, so if they did well, they get points. If they didn't, they won't do as well. And what we have here is special conditions, which is what's peculiar about that project. Okay, if it's engineering with some drainage or an engineering with some other conditions, we want to allow the opportunity to have special conditions as a part of the review. And I put oral presentations down here. In most instances, we won't. It'll be a general, those first criteria would serve and add up to the 100 points. But if it's a complicated selection, we would like the opportunity to go to a second tier of oral presentations before the committee, before they make their review. So we can ensure that we're getting the right folks involved. The policies and procedures for these operations of this committee will be established by my office and published and available. And most of the general criteria are outlined in the ordinance, and you'll see them mirrored in the ordinance to some extent. But the day-to-day operations of the committee will be established by policies and procedures of the Chief Administrative Office. We've worked on this for quite a while. We recommend it for your consideration.
Okay. Only question I have, Secretary, first of all, I appreciate all the work that's being done on this. It's something that needs to be done, and it's moving forward in the right direction, and we appreciate administrative's effort for that. They have about past performances, and it's one of the things, and you had mentioned it, but we've never, as a council, since I've been a councilman, had any type of indication, formally or informally, as to how anyone has done on a past project. And so there's no way for us to judge when we're going forward into any other project. And, I know you mentioned that. How are we going to...
And I'll have Bob speak to it a bit more. Bob and I have talked about it extensively, and what we are suggesting is that project manager is going to be responsible for producing an evaluation of engineers' performance on their past project, and that will be entered. That data will be entered in a score given for how well they did or how well they didn't, and that will be a public record and available to the council to consider.
Okay, now the project management has also in the past been, on a number of occasions, has been the engineer. Is that going to be the
staff? We're going to talk about staff engineer reviews.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So from that standpoint,
yes.
Okay.
This will be a staff recommendation.
Okay. Mr. Bob, you have anything?
I think Mr. Grant has explained it very well. Essentially, I think it's going to put a responsibility on the Public Works Department with our project managers to document and to retain information regarding how well a engineering consultant has done on the design, just as we would on a contractor as to how well they constructed the project. So it's going to require that we probably increase the documentation that we do now.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And my question is to go back with evaluating the engineering firm. This document here will start with, at the beginning, once we adopt it, that history will start, or that history will go back in time. I'm just asking a question.
Because we have to start where we're starting. I mean, I would say to you that my goal here is to get this adopted here in this budget cycle and implemented effective January.
Okay.
And from going forward, there would be project evaluations in each selection.
Yeah, we'd probably be very, we have to take it from here. Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, Cedric, the initiation of this board for selection, is that going to basically do away with the list of folks that we have on task order currently? Is that going to increase the number of people we have on task order? Is it even going to be able, do we still need people on task order contract?
If you notice what I put here, we are moving towards professional services contracts. Each of these will be RFP in the selections made. That we would hope is that this will eventually do away with the task order system.
That's what I want to make clear to everybody.
Yes, sir.
That basically with this process, it'll be a selection per project.
At $50,000 a grade.
Same folks competing for one project might not be the same folks competing for
That's
the next
correct.
one. It's just be per project, a selection basis based on the criteria of the project and the criteria the folks needed to facilitate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We would probably be limiting task orders into under 50,000. That
Yes.
would be the only time we
Yes.
good. That would be-
And I'd like to review that process to see if we could kind of clean it up a bit. 'Cause-
Okay.
But right now, we thought this was a major leap
This is a
forward.
this is a very major start. It's very
Right.
good that we're going in this direction.
One more.
Yes, Councilman Joseph.
Mr. Grant, also the selection of this, the board
Yes.
of this here, directly will come from what I'm understanding is here, directly from the parish president administration,
No, sir. The membership of the board is established in ordinance.
and it will go through.
So the only people that are selected, we're asking for representatives from this engineering society that would be on a rotating basis, and the professor from the university. The rest of the people are either staff or administrators. We're not. The parish president is not selecting anyone.
Okay, I just want to, thanks.
Well, I mean, the chief engineer represents the parish
Yeah,
president.
that's
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Administratively, we need to have that, and that's okay.
Well, it's basically just that without everybody reading the ordinance right now, it's like your 2-year rotating seat between the American Society of Civil Engineers and the Louisiana Engineering Society. They have members of that society. They have members that live within Ascension Parish, so that's their selection of
Yes, sir.
whoever lives within Ascension Parish that they deem necessary to put forward on this board. And they'll have their selection. Same with the Southern University Engineering and LSU Engineering School. It'll
That's
be
correct.
someone within the parish.
Okay.
That's good. They'll have a stakeholder in what they're looking at.
Lindsay, do you have enough with the minor changes Mr. Grant had given us to go ahead and make the ordinance from there? Okay. Yeah, because I just noticed there were just a few small changes. Okay, with that, we want to entertain a motion to
Forward to parish council review.
that's where it goes to
For
next.
discussion, yes. You make the motion?
That's what made the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion for Councilman Joseph to go as a recommendation to the parish council, second by Councilman Kluat. Any objections?
For review. Just want to make sure for review. To go to parish council for review. They have to go in a review process.
Well, it's by ordinance, the first part of it is review.
Do you want the ordinance to be introduced at the next meeting, or?
Yes, I mean, that's the process. Yeah.
Okay.
The regular ordinance process, which is review only.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Cedric, this process we're going through to get this ordinance, and of course we'll hear some feedback on it, and we'll get it in front of the council and see how everybody thinks about it and all that. But where do you see this process starting? Next fiscal year?
Yes.
Next project? Next month?
I will tell you, Councilman, if we're successful at doing this in the one that we're talking about next, the first one that I think this really applies to would be the selection of the consultant for the master plan, which we are looking at as an October selection. The engineering selections could easily roll into the next fiscal year once we've established a budget on future public works projects and that. So I'm really more looking at public works being in the fiscal cycle, but we have the master plan selection probably will be started before the end of the year.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morton, if that's something else.
Yes. Parish President.
I just want to say that, you know, this is a process that's needed here in the parish. If you go back over the past 8 years, you can look at meetings, and there were arguments about which engineering firm would be picked. We've had some problems on several projects. I mean, 73 and 621. I don't have to name the Harryville sewer, this courthouse. I mean, it's been a. If you want to look at past performances, those are some that you know, glare at us right now. But I think this will be a fair type selection. I think it'll save the taxpayer of this parish a lot of money. It'll be competitive, and I think it's been needed here in the parish. And we certainly don't want to make it political. I think it takes a lot of pressure from you guys, and it takes a lot of pressure from the administration as far as having to deal with engineers on a daily basis. And, you know, you're always going to get lobbied, but this kind of takes the politics out of it, and hopefully we can get some qualified people to do the job and save the parish some money. That's the ideal situation, and that's why we're presenting this to you.
Okay, well, we thank you very much. I also want to thank administration, because we had talked about this, and a very short time period, Mr. Grant and everyone else involved moved forward on it, gave us the necessary information we needed to move forward, so we appreciate it.
We just need to clear up the motion. The normal process for an ordinance is not to review it first, it's for introduction first.
Yes.
So do you want it just to...
It's to go to the council. It's a recommendation to go to the council.
So do you want on there as just a discussion or as an introduction?
As an ordinance. I mean, it's...
Let's go as an ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, it's... The first part of an ordinance is to be introduced and everything, so and that's where the discussion and information is going to be given out. So
We do know that a drastic change like this is going to entertain a lot of discussion.
yeah.
Inside and outside the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Number 6. Discussion of professional consulting selection process.
Yes. The purpose here, and you have an ordinance and a similar briefing sheet in front of you, the purpose here is that everything else that's not engineering, which is kind of a mixed bag. When you get into the larger selections, you really do need to put a similar kind of holistic process together that allows people to evaluate proposals and present recommendations to you. And I'll give you some examples of what possibly this could be. We're talking tonight about solid waste. Conceivably, if you did a selection of professional services, you would want to have some very detailed selection process involved for that. Sewer, we're looking at potential. Those things lend themselves to this kind of process. So, but it's not quite engineering. It's something different. So what we're suggesting here and what we're recommending is very similar to the process that we just described for engineering, but in this particular instance, the chief administrative officer would have to then sit as the head of the committee. And I'm recommending to you the chief administrative officer, the chief financial officer, and in-house counsel as the permanent membership, the affected department head on wherever that project was. And we would then have an outside expert in the subject matter area. So if it was the sewer, we would have some independent third party that was not a part of the selection process or stood to benefit from the contract would sit at the table with us to give us their expert advice on that particular subject area. Of course, this committee would change as those selections came about, but they're not as often as the engineering process.
Okay.
And so it would be on a case-by-case basis. But there was a need as we looked at the engineering. I mean, engineering covers a lot, but it does not cover everything that we would need to to engage this process. So it's a similar process, but it covers those non-engineering selections.
Okay. For the record, Senator Councilman Valentine has entered. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Getting. I know you had a previous meeting. We have just, for your benefit, we have just approved sending to council the engineering review, and we're looking at consultant selection.
Okay.
And so
Thank you.
we're on
Appreciate
that right now. Did he get the change that was made?
Yeah.
The substitute? Okay.
And I'll explain.
And if you don't mind, we're just going to take a second and look at some of the information that we
The criterion are the same.
is
and
basically the same.
the point system is the same. I would suggest to you that there will be many more oral presentations in this process than there would be in the others. Most of the engineering selections, unless it was something extremely special, you probably could make the recommendation, without an oral presentation. But in this particular instance, we would generally require an oral presentation of those submitting RFPs.
Okay.
Mr. Realmine.
Yes, Councilman Joseph.
Mr. Grant, on the outside expert on this matter, we have to hire them, right?
No, this would be someone that we would ask to sit on the committee. They would not be paid. This would not be a paid position.
Okay. All right. Suppose we can't get no more.
Now, is that a problem with getting someone non-paid?
Well,
as professional courtesy?
Yeah, but I think that there are a number of people in the various fields that we're talking about, senior folks that would be willing to sit in on the selection of this type. That's certainly been my experience in other jurisdictions.
Take a look at it. And this one again is 50,000 and over.
Yes.
Cedric, that would cover some of the folks that we hire, like folks that handle grants and different things like that.
Exactly.
Those type of services.
Exactly right. And again, you get that past performance evaluation as a part of this process.
Looking, any further discussion? We're looking for recommendations.
No one have anything. I move that we move it to the full council and introduce it as an ordinance.
We have a motion by Councilman Joseph to recommend this to go to the full council, the ordinance.
I second.
Second by Councilman Kluwat. Any other discussion?
And it'll go through the normal cycle.
Normal cycle that you would have.
And which will give us discussion anyway.
Any objections? So passed. Item 7, implementation of parish code and establishment of a code enforcement. A little background, probably for about 3 or 4 years we've been working to pass a number of ordinances, from jump cars to different things that we've been having, and inevitably what has come up is we just could not find an enforcement mechanism for anything that we had that would properly protect the people of the parish, both for and against. And while we were working with that, Ms. Manda came up with an idea for Parish Court Enforcement Code, and we're going to turn it over to her. She's been working on it very diligently, and she's going to explain exactly what this means, and we'll see where to go from here. Lindsay.
Committee members, you have before you a brief overview of the Administrative Adjudication Bureau. I have some experience with this. I came from St. Tammany, and they've had this process in place for a number of years. We'll start with the process. It begins with a reported or observed violation of the Parish Code of Ordinances. A code enforcement officer will then inspect the premises to determine whether or not a violation exists. Typically speaking, the officers will discuss the violation with the resident or the property owner. Oftentimes, the violation is remedied at this level, but in instances where it is not, the resident will be officially noticed and asked to cease the violation. Property is posted, certified letter sent to the owner. If no significant improvement occurs, then the owner will be summoned to Code Enforcement Court, also known in Louisiana Revised Statutes as an Administrative Adjudication Bureau. At court, the parish will present a case against the alleged violator, including evidence of the violation. You'll have pictures, the green cards, and testimony from code enforcement officers. The alleged violator will also have an opportunity to present his or her case. The administrative law judge will either find that a violation exists or that a violation does not exist. If a violation does not exist, the owner is then free to go. But if a violation is found to exist, the violator will be found in violation and will have to pay court cost, a fine per violation, and be given a time frame in which to remedy the violation. The individual is always required to sign the judgment prior to leaving, and after the hearing, statutes provide that an owner may appeal this judgment to the district court, and these forms are provided to the violator. The judgment is then recorded in the land records of the parish and acts as a lien on the property until the violation is rectified and all court costs and fines are paid. To further enforce the judgment, the parish may file a petition to make the judgment executory in the district court. Some issues that I have for you all to consider further is the funding for this type of court. It is going to cost you. There are significant upstart costs, including paying an administrative law judge. You'd have to consider hiring additional code enforcement officers, paying for equipment, cameras, computers. And the other obstacle that I would see in order for us to get this up and going is our code enforcement officers are not deputized. So, in other words, they cannot legally go onto private property to investigate or take pictures for the court. So that is what I have for you all.
Thank you, Lindsay. A couple of things before we get into discussion that I can offer for you. Code enforcement officer for us entering in private property. We've had meetings with the sheriff, and he said the sheriff's office is very willing to participate as long as there are code enforcement officers that are working with the sheriff's office on each of these particular ordinances. And whenever they are through discussions between them, whenever they are deemed necessary, then the sheriff's office will be glad to send his personnel to accompany our code enforcement officer to enter the premises. So we would have access to the sheriff's participation, and he said that would be the proper way to do it. Also, and I think Mr. Grant, could you enlighten us? I thought he had a good idea about cross-training some current people for code enforcement officers, which is one of the things that everyone saw that we had to have more code enforcement officers.
Yeah. We may have an opportunity, and we believe there's an opportunity in relation to the inspection force that we currently have in building and zoning to cross-train some of those individuals as code enforcement officers and make them available to go out and do inspections. Certainly in this period where we are a bit down on building inspections and subdivision inspections and that, there's an opportunity to utilize those people in that way. And they're already in the field and, identified as parish employees and the like. I'm a bit concerned, as Lindsay has indicated, that they wouldn't be deputized and have that kind of authority. But I think that they certainly are regarded as representatives of the parish at this point, and certainly would be seen in that way if they went out and did some of this work. So we think in the near term we can provide some of this through that mechanism.
Yeah, and that would be the thing, is that there would be the limitations that would be put up on them in discussions with the sheriff's office, is the limitations of what code enforcement officers, what they do, and then what the sheriff's representatives do from there for as those duties. With that, we'll open up the discussion. Mr. Kluat.
Yeah, Cedric, I guess, Armando, the administrative law judge, that's someone that we would have issued to us from, we have somebody in place? Or what entity would that fall under? We'd have somebody, the 23rd JDC?
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand the terms of the
in St. Tammany, for example, the administrative law judge was a local attorney that we hired on a full-time basis to act as a judge.
Sure. That's what I wanted to clear up.
And the DA's office in St. Tammany actually prosecuted the violators, so they couldn't very well serve as the judge and the prosecutor. So we hired some outside counsel to sit as judge.
So he would be somebody, a local attorney, that would act as a judge in that.
Yeah, you could certainly do that.
Okay.
Yes.
As local attorneys, retired judges, someone of that stature that we would need to do.
Right. I think the statute just requires that the attorney be practicing for 2 years. So.
All right. Would that would one of the ADAs would be considered qualified for that, or would that be something because they're with the district attorney's office would be out of the question?
It would depend. If you, for example, used me to prosecute the violators, and that's something I did in St. Tammany, you wouldn't very well have another assistant district attorney acting as an administrative law judge. There'd be a conflict there.
That's what I want to have. Okay.
So that would just be something we'd work out in the details.
What do you think is the estimated cost, annual cost for that position? What do you anticipate, or do you? I don't know. Maybe
it really would depend. I would estimate with the startup, we might have court one morning a month with a docket maybe ranging from 6 to 12 cases. And if you paid an attorney an hourly rate of, say, I don't know, $100 or $150 an hour, you might only end up paying $500 a month to start. But depending on how successful the program was, you might need to hire them for 2 mornings a month. I mean, that you know.
Okay.
And it would also depend on how much court costs you would collect to pay for. A lot of it is paid for by the court costs.
Right, court costs and fines.
I would think that it would have to be something that we would have to guesstimate before, in order to get started. The only way for us to really find out is to have an estimated cost and move forward and see from there.
And committee members, I did speak with the code enforcement supervisor in St. Tammany last week and try to get a feel from him what were some of the startup costs. And he said really, as far as the code enforcement officer and their vehicles, their laptops, and their cameras were pretty much the only expense they had. So.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest cost, and I think CLO Grant is given us an opportunity to try to cut down on that cost by cross-training.
Cedric, you feel like your inspectors that may cross-train and do this,
we've already initiated a cross-training program to make sure that they're certified in all the building disciplines, including sewer. So we think there's an opportunity for a couple of them to get this training as well. And quite honestly, I'm already heading toward cameras in hand for everyone, and then like, so it may be a few costs, but it'll be costs that you will see in the budget.
And I guess, like I said, the inspectors already have vehicles.
Yes, sir.
They may already have a camera. I'm not sure. Like you said, you talked about that.
Yeah.
And laptops, I don't know if they got them. They all got them, or they got...
I think we may have some computer issues, but quite honestly, I'm trying to go much more to a handheld situation where these people would have in their hand what they need to operate.
Good deal. All right.
Okay, well, and I think what we're looking at doing now is to try to get an endorsement by this committee right now to go forward through administration to find out, and I think we have to go through the financial process, financial review, and then once we get that, to be able to send it to the finance committee. So that would be the next step.
I'd make that motion, Councilman Schechtner. I think it's a good idea that we get administration to give us some figures, something that other councilmen be able to judge. But you know, this is premier to any other ordinance that we pass. I mean, it's if you don't have an enforcement, the enforcement ability, it's kind of useless to pass ordinances
So
that you
many
can't
laws
enforce.
we have
That's
now
correct.
we can't enforce.
We have a motion by Councilman
finance.
Valentine,
I second.
and second by Councilman Kluwat, as an endorsement by this committee and to send to administration first for financial review and recommendations on to the finance committee. Any further discussion? Any objection? So pass. Okay, that leads us to long-awaited ordinance that we've been working on. Number 8, discussion of ordinance in regards to junk, abandoned vehicles, and white goods located on private property. Ms. Manda.
This is the same ordinance that you've probably seen for years. The only difference is at the request of Chairman Schechtner, I added white goods.
Right. And for the benefit of everyone, white goods is refrigerators, freezers, washers, dryers, appliances, and things that that in the past we have had, in some instances, a tremendous problem, and we were not allowed any leeway into entering any properties, even though it was some obvious public health violations, and so this was added for that point. Also, to let everyone know, that the areas that we are using that has special permission is antiques or special interest vehicles, are not affected by this ordinance. We want to make sure of that because obviously we're not trying to stop anyone from doing those type of things. And basically we want to get people to put junk in the proper place if you're going to keep it on your property.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is this ordinance enforced in any of the municipalities in the parish right now? Just for public viewing, I just want to know. Do we know that, whether it is or not? Donaldsonville, Sorrento, Gonzales?
I think Gonzales have a white good.
Yeah, to help you with that, Gonzales and Donaldsonville does it through their fire departments.
Okay.
They determine that abandoned vehicles within a front yard or something like that inhibits the ability to fight fires. And so for the public good, they get an opinion by a representative of the fire department, and they exercise it in that manner.
And basically, our ordinance that we're proposing here tonight covers our area of Southern Powell, which is the rural areas of the parish.
Yes, sir.
Not within any of the municipalities.
Yeah, right. And it would go into the adjudicated court, adjudicated bureau program that we had discussed earlier, so that homeowners would have an opportunity to appeal, and so all the rights would be observed on that point. I want to make sure that we do that.
Chairman Shake.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know as we have on here for discussion, and just for discussion, if we move forward with it,
Right.
we can't enforce it. So we want to keep it on the table and see where we go with the enforcement process of it. If we do the code system and get a code enforcer.
I would like to see us move forward with this and being implemented whenever the adjudicated bureau would be established.
Okay, because other than that, and that's
It would be
right. We're not looking for and I'm just put it out there, the fire department or the sheriff,
No.
or anyone in the parish currently, right, to enforce this if we put it on the book.
no.
Okay.
This is self enforced by the system that we would put in place with the adjudicated bureau that we had just discussed, and so therefore I think we should not initiate this until the time comes that we would establish that parish-wide. Also, we can take it and when it comes to the parish council, we can approve, change, or amend anything in this that we do not agree on.
I have the, Councilman Shaker, I have the same concerns as Olive Joseph, but I think and we can move this along in unison because I certainly don't want to pass something that we can't enforce, but I would think that we should, I've read it, if everybody's comfortable with it, I think we need to go ahead and move it on to the council for discussion, and I'll make that motion.
I would like you to add to your motion that it would be implemented upon the parish adjudicated.
That would be part of the motion, implemented upon adjudication of setting up the basis for the ordinance to be certainly policed.
Okay. Second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Valentine to send to the council with the implementation of this not to be before the adjudicated bureau is instituted. Second by Councilman Joseph. Any further discussion? Any objection? So pass.
Councilman Shakespeare, I mean, I think this needs to be before the full council for some discussion, because this is something that as our parish continues to grow and become more urbanized and suburbanated, however you want to say it, it is definitely something that is needed, and we need to move forward on it. So I think it'd be good, healthy discussion for the council.
Yes, and what's going to end up happening, you're going to see something like this as parts of the parish become more urbanized and parts are still very rural. You're going to see less of more emphasis on the urbanized areas. The areas that are fairly rural, neighbors are going to be content with having be a lot more liberal with their neighbors having things out in their yards and such, and we're not looking to be on a witch hunt or anything like that. Most of these will be based on complaints.
Right.
So,
Councilman.
yes.
Chairman. And I just want to stress to the public that this is an ordinance that is in work. It's not adopted yet or not. I just had a couple of my constituents call me about burning trash, you know what I'm saying? And they thought that ordinance, that it was a topic last year, and they thought that that ordinance had passed, but that ordinance had never passed. And so, you know, we want to make sure that we let the public know that we are going in that direction, but a lot of these ordinances have not been discussed, but never been approved by full council.
Right.
And this was one of them so far.
Right. And one of the things about the burn ordinance, why it wasn't passed, we don't have a parish-wide garbage disposal place. We don't have a lot of things in place. We don't have situations and areas in the parish that would allow for burning on special situations. So therefore, we did not move forward with it. But we want to discuss all of these things. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move on to discussion of ordinance amending roadside solicitation. This is something that has been another hot topic in many areas of the parish. Lindsay, did you have anything on the current?
No, I didn't draft anything because, well, first I thought it was just for discussion, but I know that Mr. Bob Turner had been in discussion with Councilman Lambert, and he also had some issues. So I figured we could get all those on the table, and then you all could instruct me to draft the ordinance.
What we'll do today, we'd like to put forth some suggestions by this committee, and so you could go back and draft an ordinance, and then at the next meeting we will look forward to this. I know, and the reason this has come up is that we have some areas of the parish that is pretty obvious or dangerous intersections, number one. Number two is we've seen some of the same people on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know for a fact that some of the people that are collecting are from out of parish, and they have a number of very young people running along the roads, these very dangerous roads at this time, and it's a real safety issue. And so for these reasons, we would like Mr. Bob and Ms. Amanda, y'all, to put together something, and we're looking for a criteria today to give to them to draw up an ordinance that we can enforce from there. A couple of things that we discussed with Mr. Bob. Number one was whether we wanted to do it at red light intersections only, because that's where cars would be stopped and not stopping and going. We're having a problem there. We have prospects of an age limit, parish residency, and one that I wanted to put is that they would have to come and get a permit, the permit office, and have a visible permit showing out there, and that administration could actually make a sign that would be an orange sign that would be 18 inches by 3 feet that they could put out on a stand right there where they are, so that one of the big problems is the sheriff's officers hate to come by and keep asking people, do you have a permit, are you allowed to do this? This would be a way to see, and for the people of the parish to see that the people that deserve to be out there and deserve to be collecting for good causes and are responsible have their permit, it's visible, and it's a good cause to donate to, because a number of these things are very good to do. Does anybody want to add?
No, I agree with you on that you put forth an effort within the ordinance to amend it to put a red light intersections and something very visible on the ordinance. But I know we have a lot of good organizations that use it, and we use the term can shake, okay, that they're out there soliciting for. We have a couple intersections within our parish, both on the north end and the south end of the parish, that is probably used by a tri-parish area. That's how visible the intersections are. So we just want people to be safe.
Council, I just
cause incident.
Public Works, I would ask that we look at this and decide what the size of the intersection where people can do it so it can be safe. We've got a lot of intersections in this parish that you can barely drive 2 cars.
Right.
Let's have people stand out and shake. So Public Works will make a recommendation on what size of a appropriate size intersection that we thought somebody could do this relatively safely.
Well, and we were thinking that DPW could go through and take a parish map and have intersections that are available for this type of solicitation, and that when they come with their permit, if it didn't fit that intersection, then they would have to change to, you know, to appropriate intersection as part of getting the permit. And they would, you know, probably make a deposit, because if you're going to get a big cone for a permit sign that's visible, then when they return that at the end of it, then they can get their deposit back. And that way organizations that are viable and they don't mind doing things like that, and it wouldn't cost them any money. It would just be the time to get their permit and then return that, and we can make it as easily as possible.
Sure.
But right now, the way it is, I'm scared to death every time I see 10 or 15 people running around an intersection, and it's very dangerous. And I personally witnessed someone almost get run over in Gonzales, a young lady. Someone ran a light and almost hit a garbage truck, and so I don't want to see anybody get that happening. Yes, sir, Mr. Joseph.
I do not know what do we have a time limit on how long they can collect at those sites in our ordinance? If not, that's one of the things we need to put in there. If it's 4 hours period, a time period or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I would imagine it would, administration could come up with the safe times, because you don't want them in rush hour in the morning, rush hour in the evening.
Right.
So
You don't want them at night.
yeah, and so it would be based on recommendations when you think it would be safe at what intersections.
What do we actually have an ordinance in place now, or do we just have policy?
I think
We have an ordinance in place.
Do we have an ordinance in place?
Yes.
And Mr. Cedric, I know you're very familiar with the state situation. I mean, if we got to make sure that the guidelines comply with it. Most of this is on state roads.
Right.
In fact, everything's on state roads.
Yes, we'd have to validate.
I mean, all that has to be, yeah.
So, can you you understand our concerns and issues, Lindsay and Mr. Bob?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can come up at the next meeting with an ordinance based on the recommendations and changes, then we can send them and put it on the agenda, and we'll move forward at the next meeting.
and if not, add one more thing on that. If they at an intersection, they must clean it up. Whatever they brought, they pick up.
Well, that could be that could be part of one of the things that they get a permit and they make a deposit, and it's very easy. Somebody can ride by as part of the overall process, and I'm like Councilman Joseph. I've seen some intersections at the end when they left. It's been a shame.
I got it.
We appreciate it. Okay. Number 10. This is something that we wanted to put out there for discussion, and I feel very strongly about this. It says discussion of proposed ordinance prohibiting the housing, harboring, and hiring of illegal immigrants. Number one, I want to make sure everyone knows that people of Ascension Parish this is a nation of immigrants. We want to see people move here. All of us are immigrants in some way or another, some generation, and we want to welcome all immigrants legally entering the United States and Ascension Parish, and welcome you to our parish. But if you are illegally here, we think that that is something that should not be tolerated. And from a parish standpoint, we wanted to put it out that the people that are either hiring or renting them or harboring them would be liable for fines that would end up going to our adjudication court for the same policy we had before. Lindsay, you want to explain what you've given us?
A council member of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, actually provided me with a copy of their ordinance. You may have seen it on national headlines sometime last week. And basically what you have before you is a replica of that. And
Okay.
it basically says that it is illegal in Ascension Parish to hire, house, or harbor illegal immigrants.
I got a quick question.
No, Mr. Kluat.
All right. I guess born and raised, privileged to be born and raised in the United States, isn't this already against the law?
Yes, it is.
Did the folks that you got this does this give us any type of advantage? I mean, by having a local ordinance, or does this? I'm just asking. And where is and how do we enforce it? And it will be based on somebody calling in with a complaint?
It's basically, there is a federal law that takes care of illegal immigrants and Ms. Amanda, let me know if I'm wrong.
Yes,
and it
that's
makes
true.
it
And
a
in
federal
fact,
statute.
yes.
And
Yeah.
what we're looking for is a local statute
Yeah.
that might
if we
accompany
want to vote of
this.
confidence that, in the federal law, and saying that we want it in Ascension Parish.
Right, and that ordinance attempts to do that. But I will tell you that federal courts have struck down similar ordinances, saying that they're not viable, that they're unconstitutional because federal law does preempt state and local law. So you are
Right.
going out on a limb if you put this through. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Basically, that it's just it would be a shot in the arm and a vote of confidence for the good old U.S. federal government that we put this ordinance in effect in Ascension Parish, and said that we stand with you. Just the uniqueness of it is basically the burden of enforcement is put on who?
The burden of enforcement under this ordinance is put on local law enforcement officers.
Okay.
And I will say there is a difference between you all, enacting a resolution saying we stand behind the federal government in their enforcement of this, and you all enacting an ordinance that provides
Okay.
for separate penalties.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just trying to figure out where we stand here.
And this is not something that's going to penalize the illegal immigrants. This is going to penalize the people that have them illegally. And basically the same standpoint, if you have an illegal substance at your home, you get fined. And so from that standpoint, that's where we wanted to address it.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
Ms. Amanda, this will go through, I'm looking over this here, and Mr. Shakes now to say it will go through our judicial, but it would go through the 23rd Judicial District, right?
Yes, as the ordinance is drafted now, we have it going to the 23rd JDC, not first to code enforcement, but certainly if you all would like to make that amendment.
Well, yeah, that's what I
don't
thought we
think,
talked about.
well, that's my question. Do we have the power when it comes in to enforce with a code enforcer officer? We definitely need, in those things, we would need the sheriff department to actually arrest someone because they're in violation of this, correct?
Yeah, yes, I would think so. But again, federal law already speaks to this particular issue, so it would be my legal opinion that
Is there a distinction, and I guess that's what we're getting, is there a distinction between enacting a criminal act and enacting a civil act, such as a ticket for a parking ticket or something like that? And this is the
civil.
direction that we want to go. Federal government takes care of the criminal aspect of it. We wish to do it from the standpoint of a civil action, like a ticket or something like that, where it's a fine involved from those things, from a local ordinance.
I understand.
Okay. Now, when you do that, the best avenue is still going through 23rd Judicial Court.
That's what I would recommend to
Okay.
you, yes.
That's what we want to do then.
Mr. Shakes, now,
Yes, sir.
have we shared this with Miss Mann? Did we share this with the sheriff yet? I noticed
No, we
he's
just-
prominent through this.
Yeah,
No, we have not.
that's
We're-
kind of where I was going with it.
We're just getting started.
Just, I would suggest we certainly share this with the sheriff.
And the judges? Just-
Well, I mean, you know, neighborhoods and cities and parishes and counties across the United States are trying to come to grips with this problem, and it is a problem. And the big problem is the people that, unfortunately, the business people that hire illegals and essentially set them up and rent houses and what have you, and it is a problem. And local government like ourselves get tied by the hands because there are federal statutes out there that are not being enforced either for whatever reason, lack of manpower, lack of communication or whatever. Local ordinance, in agreement with the sheriff, would give an opportunity for neighbors, local people that would know of something that was illegal to at least be able to reach out to the local law enforcement to say, look, you need to check this. I mean, you know, in that sense, you know, it may be something we really need to look at. And that's, I mean, I think it's a good idea. We definitely discuss it. So,
Okay.
but I think the sheriff needs to be notified.
Yes.
For one thing.
Well, this
And I'm
is
sure
where
will.
we didn't want to go any further with this
Oh.
until we had a public discussion and see where to go from now. Obviously, the consensus is that we go to the other parish
I would think
agencies
we do,
involved,
yeah.
and Ms. Lindsay, unless there's some disagreement here, we have recommendation from the strategic planning is that we set up some type of meeting with the sheriff's office and ADA and have some suggestions as to where to proceed with this. Could you take care of that? And please inform us when we can assist in that.
Yeah, Amanda, if you need some help, I mean, one of us can, or somebody can, you know, help set up a meeting, see where these entities stand on their opinion of.
And
What can we
certainly,
do?
I can tell you based on the case law out there, I don't know that the district attorney's office is going to be doing much with this ordinance.
Right.
So, but I will set up the meetings.
Well, we're just looking for a way to implement the intent of it. Okay, number 11. We have discussion timetable for parish-wide recycling, and if it's okay, we may have to have an amendment. We wanted to include solid waste program. Mr. Grant here has some proposals to give us on a timetable. What we wanted to do is try to head in some sort of manner with our solid waste in the parish, and in order to get some results, we wanted to put a timetable as to for our goals as to when we're going to achieve some of these things. So nothing is being implemented. We're just looking for a timetable.
Council members, let me just take you through the memo
Mr.
that I
Grant.
submitted. As at the request of Councilman Schick-Snyder, I was asked to look into the opportunity for a parish-wide recycling program. And as many of you know, the issues surrounding waste disposal are complex and probably require a pretty well-researched approach. Most governmental recycling programs are part of a comprehensive solid waste program that has as one of its major goals reductions in the waste stream that goes to landfills. Currently, unincorporated Ascension Parish doesn't have such a program. So in order for us to investigate the possibility of creating one, we propose the following schedule. I'd like to do some best practices research here for the rest of the year, particularly as we go through the budget process. And by year-end, report to the committee my research and what I've determined. If indeed we from that step going forward, I'd like to develop some solid waste concepts. How would we go about it? Right now, what we know is that we have a number of independent providers in the parish, and no franchise, no, we're not in the business out in the unincorporated areas. And so this research would then produce for you potential concepts of how we might approach it in the first quarter of '09. Based on a consensus being built on that, I would suggest at that point the preparation and solicitation of an RFQ to see who would be interested in providing what we might see as a concept for solid waste provision by mid-year of next year. Taking in that information, then evaluating it and creating an RFP from the June to September timeframe, and then soliciting it in the fourth quarter of '09 with the intent, if we indeed did decide to go with solid waste services parish-wide, that the earliest we could possibly do it would be in January of 2010. And that's a pretty ambitious time frame. Yeah. That's coming back to you at least once a quarter with some updates on where we are and trying to see if we can build some consensus on this concept and moving forward. In the meantime, we would continue the recycling roadshow that was pretty successful last weekend, and look at some additional pickup sites throughout the parish to see if we could encourage more recycling throughout the parish. But we can't even begin this conversation without looking at this comprehensively, in my view.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Also, Councilman Joseph had discussed about the Going Green program. Yes. Can you add that to, from administrative standpoint?
We've talked about
add that to your timetable.
And I just want to make it clear that it's the government going green.
Right.
Okay, because it is a cost in this area, and it's going to cost us to go green. And me and Mr. Grant went to a couple, Randy went to a couple of the conference and everything, and everyone is going to it. But to go green, we have to do an analysis of how we're going to fund it, and if it's going to be cost efficient for us. So, and that's why I'm asking Mr. Grant if he can do that and come back and say, what portion we can do at a reasonable cost, and then in the future build a program like we're going to build it as we go.
Well, yes, as with everything in the parish, we are heavily constrained by finances, but I will tell you, we find ourselves in a fairly unique place. Without having anything, you're at the point where you can either create and be visionary in what you do, or you can replicate what most people do. And I'm saying for the growth and the kinds of development that we expect in here in this parish, and the kind of natural resources we have in this parish, we really need to think of this in a wide view, in a more visionary approach to it, because we're going to be, we have landfills in the parish right now, but quite honestly, let's face it, we also happen to have just gotten notice that we're going to have the first biodiesel plant in the parish, in the state. So we're on the cutting edge in one hand, we're at the back end on the other, and so it's up to us to decide how far we want to take this opportunity.
Yes, and I've been able to attend a conference where and witness in Honolulu, where they take their solid waste and they burn it for electricity, which I think is a goal that every municipality should have. We have an opportunity in this parish. We have a business that does composting in the Dow area and bags it and everything, that we could utilize our green waste. If we can utilize some recycling of the white goods and metals and glass and things of that sort on a parish-wide basis, I think that would be advantageous. And we also, since we do have a long-established landfill, we have a methane problem that they have there that we need to solve. That if we could harness that methane, we could actually use that as some startup for a plant that would generate electricity. So those are all the things the reasons why, as you said, we're unique, and we want to try to do something a little bit better than what other people have been doing. So I think it's a very good plan, and I guess all we want to do is endorse this timetable, looking for an endorsement of this timetable, and yes.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with CEO Grant that this is an aggressive timetable, and we're kind of backing into this thing is that we do have what Kent, you brought up. We've got a large number of constituents out there that are worried about recycling. They'd love to recycle. We don't have enough opportunity for them. Basically, a parish-wide solid waste system would offer us a contract availability to have recycling at their doorstep. And that's going to be down the road. But I would like to endorse this plan that you go forward and look at it, because I do think it's aggressive, but it's got to start somewhere. Thank you, sir.
And do you want to send it for an endorsement to the whole council? There's no
I
objection.
would like to see a presentation.
Form of resolution.
Yeah, I'd like to make this form of resolution that we presented to the council.
And Mr. Grant, could you have a presentation for us for the whole council?
Yes, I will.
And we'll set up a resolution, cinnamon, endorsing this concept and this timetable to move forward. Well, first we have to vote. Councilman Kluwat made the motion. Councilman Joseph seconded. No objections. So passed. With that, we go to number 12.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
First on the light at the rear. Yeah. Then at the street light.